Hi, in this video I am going to walk you through using image trace. Some of you might want to use this when you're making your logos in terms of incorporating a JPEG image and translating it into vector and then being able to play around with colors and reducing colors as well. So image trace will allow you to do that, and so let's get started. So what I'm going to do is I've already pulled this up and just file new. Instead of just opening the image, I'm going to go ahead and put it into an artboard that I'm going to create. So I'm going to go here and make certain, as always, it's in inches. And on this one, I'm noticing, remember that it is at 72. So we want a higher res. So put it at 300 if yours is not already. And if this isn't showing, your advanced options are probably not open. And so if you just hit the arrow, it'll expand them open for you. And so just double check this stuff always before you hit create. So make certain that it's in inches and make certain that we have a 300. So then I'm going to hit create and we have an artboard. Well, we should. Here's a little lollipop going. There we go. And so we don't need that. So what I'm going to do is take this image that I have on my desktop and I'm going to drag this in. And so I have an awesome ice cream cone. So let me kind of play around with the size of that just a little. Or remember, I can click on it, go over here, click on maintain the width and height proportions. And let's say I want the height of it to be 5 inches. I'll hit 5 here and then hit return. And it automatically will make this and constrain the height proportions for me. So we have that. So I'm going to go to layers and here I am on the layers. So remember in Illustrator, if you want to do something, you must select it. So I've clicked on it while I'm in my selection tool, which is V, the black arrow. And then remember direct selection tool will allow you to come in and select something very specific such as an anchor point. So with selection, I'm going to go to object, because remember I'm going to go to properties, and if you have this version, remember properties are over here, and what they've done is quick actions, and so image trace actually is set up for me to use immediately right over here, but your version isn't that and you don't see it across the top. You can always find it in object and then you come down and find image trace and then make. So do that. Don't freak out because remember it's set to default, and so the default is actually a black and white logo. And here is the actual panel. So the image trace panel is here on mine. On yours, once image trace is done, you'll see it. The panel would probably be up here on the other version. So I'm going to double, or not double, just click on this, and what will happen is my panel opens up and I see that this is a default. And so you can play around with threshold here. And also what we have is you can do a low fidelity, a high fidelity photo as well, shades of gray, silhouettes, so you can turn something into a silhouette. We also can do a technical drawing and you can play around with different ones, sketched art. But what I want is color. And so what I'm going to do is 16 colors. We'll hit that. And so you see how this has broken it down into vector into these 16 colors. I can also, now that it's here, I can control color here. So maybe I want 11. So I can just type in 11 and the computer will do its thing and break it down into 11 for me. And like I said, you can even break it down to 9. Hit enter, and you can see how it's changing. So maybe I'll do, let's see, let me do 17 colors. And that's a lot of colors. You probably won't use this, especially in terms of a logo. But what I wanted to show you is now if we zoom in, which is if you hit Z and come in, this has all now been brought into this as a vector object. And so I can change these. I can also come in and play around with the colors and break them down just a little more. I can change colors on these if I would like. So this might be something that you might want to do or use. I could turn this whole thing green and this whole thing, this peach color and this whole thing a strawberry if I wanted. There's all kind of things that you can do once it's done. I could also come back in. This would actually be a lot of work to get this the way I want it to be to use it, but just to let you see. I might actually come back and do a low fidelity photo where it looks a little bit more like one, and you can see that there's 20 colors when the computer automatically does it, and that's a little better. So I'm going to go with this one. So now that I have this, and let's say I'm happy with it, what I'm going to do is hit something called expand, which once again, my quick actions over here on mine will allow me to do that. But if you're in the other version, no worries. You just go right up here in the object and you hit expand. And what this will do, now that you're aware of anchor points and fills and those types of things, what this will allow the computer to do is assign these to this image. And you're going to see a lot of them pop up. And object fill. Okay, so now we've got this, and I'm going to zoom in, and you can see this as well. And now hit V in selection, and I can do this kind of thing. Also, too, I can hit direct selection and select as well. Let me go out, get out of this, hit direct selection, and maybe I just want to choose this one, and then hit select same, fill, and stroke. It'll select all the ones that are the exact same color. And then what I can do is even eyedrop. So using the eyedropper over here. Now you don't have to do this. I'm just showing you there's all kind of things you can do. Maybe I want to eyedrop and select this color and turn all of those that color. And so by doing that, I'm able to go through and change the selected ones. So now I'm going to hit direct selection again, maybe this one, and then hit I, which is a shortcut for eyedropper, and I can change that. So I can actually lighten this up a little, and then let me see, A, which is a shortcut for direct selection. Maybe I want to do this one. Hold the shift key, and you can select as many as you would like. I might go down and do this one. Hit the eyedropper, which is over here, if you can't remember the shortcut, which is I, and click on that and it'll change those colors. So you're able to get in and change colors that way. I'm going to hit V and then click away and get out. Also, what I can do is get out of isolation mode. Hold on, Command 0 so we can do this. Click here and you'll notice over here what ends up happening is something called Recolor pops up. And so once again, you can find your Recolor in where your properties are. Recolor pulls this up. And now I can actually go through all the colors in here, and if I want to change the value of something, so let's go down to the green. Maybe I want to make this green, so double click to edit color, and I can come here and I can play around with the green, lighten it up a little, hit OK, and then that way, same thing, select it, back to Recolor, and like I said, you can come through and find the color that you might want to play with. So we've got this, and click on that, double click, or you can come down here and lighten it up, and if you notice right over here is where it happens, so keep an eye right here. I'll lighten it, you can see, or you can darken it. There it is. So you can play around with color and adjust that way if you would like as well. So this may or may be something that you want to use as an image in your logo. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to zoom back in just here, and I'm going to try to lighten up a lot of these dark ones. And so for this image, I'm going to go back and grab my direct selection, click on the dark one, hold the shift key so I can select more than one, and go through and maybe change these back to my eyedropper and change all of those a little lighter. And then back to my direct selection, hold the shift key, select this one, and then back to my eyedropper and select that lighter one. And kind of work my way down. Back to direct selection, I'm going to select this dark one here. Let's do this one, definitely that one. And I'm not going to make you watch all of this, just so you can get the idea. Let's go lighter that way. And then so on and so on. And then you can actually continue. What I was doing earlier is hit A, which is your white arrow direct selection, and come on. Let me click away first, sorry. Select over here. Now hit A. And then remember you can go to Select, Same, Fill and Stroke, and it'll select all the ones that are the same, and you can change the color of them. And then back to my direct selection, I'm going to do this. Select, Same, Fill and Stroke, hit my eyedropper, and do that. And so what I'm also doing is I'm taking colors out. Let's see, back to direct selection. I'm going to select this one, this one, this one, this one, and that one. And my eyedropper, which is eye. I'm going to do this little warmer one right here. And so just to let you know that you have control of changing the color, you can also completely, and this to me just is a little better. I mean, I'm not trying to make this look like a, lifelike drawing, and these dark ones are really starting to like puzzle piece it for me just for this particular image. Right in here, I'm going to hit that, hit I, and change it to that, and so on and so on. And let's hit V and get out of there. And so you can see what I'm doing on mine. Also, with the beauty of this is I'm going to select this. Now that this is a thing, you can reshape. Remember, so this is no different than what you were doing in that tracing project. I can now hit my pencil tool and then grab my tablet and my pen. Let me zoom in just a little. And maybe I don't like the shape of this. So with pencil, which is the shortcut is N, I could maybe draw back into this and reshape it that way. Don't forget also there is your curvature tool, where this will throw you off because immediately it's going to want you to draw. But remember what you can do with this, as soon as you hit an anchor point, that stops, and you can move some of these curves if you would like and reshape that way. So you can completely start using some of those tools we've done. And then when you're done with the curvature tool, just hit V and get out. Command 0 will bring it back to this. And you can work your way around. And so that's how you can take an image and then turn it into a vector from a JPEG. But remember, you still have complete control. And what I would do now is actually go through all of these. And I'm not going to do this in the video because this is time consuming. But I think I've done enough to show you that perhaps you could change the color. And I'm thinking too now, as I'm looking at this one, I'm going to go back to direct selection, hit this, select, same, fill in color, hit I like this one, and so I'm going to do that, and then command 0 so you can see, hit V and get out. So yeah, so I've lightened it, and then I would come through and lighten all of this, and you could even turn this whole thing into one color and really simplify this if you would like, and that's all by just direct selecting and holding it. But let's say I'm okay and this is what I like, and this is something that I might be using. What I can do now is I need to export it, and if this is going to be part of a logo, we talked about exporting things in terms of them being transparent, and you definitely want to give someone a PNG file, not a JPEG. So what we're going to do is if you move this over, you're going to see there's a white area, and most of the time we don't even think about that because we're working on a white artboard. In your settings, you actually can turn your artboard default to like a gray or something, and sometimes that's helpful. But I like working on a white artboard because it's like paper. So, but just being aware of that, if you pull it off the artboard a little bit, you can see this. So what's going to happen is I need to delete that out. So I think our first instinct is to, if you can grab your direct selection or your selection tool, you can click and keep double clicking until just this is selected, and then see what happens there. So I'm going to go and put it in isolation mode like that and hit delete, and you can get rid of the background that way. And then I know I'm in isolation mode because of this. You can see the ghost and you can see this blue line. Just tap over here. So what that did when I kept clicking on the white, all of a sudden the white background is the only thing it selected, and it hid. It didn't get rid of the ice cream, it hid it. And then I just deleted that away. Also, what you could do is, using your magic wand tool, you could hit white, but you have to be careful because if you have any of that within your image, it'll delete that out. So that isn't necessarily the best tool for this. And then another thing you could do is just with your direct selection, just hit the white background delete. Okay, however you do it. So with this image, the best one's going to be either do an isolation mode. The easiest is direct selection, but I know some videos or some people do it a little differently, so I just wanted to show you that there are several ways, as always, you know, to get you to the same effect. Sometimes they work better on one image than the other, but in this particular one, just using direct selection and just hitting that one white background, hit delete, it's gone. So now I'm going to hit V so I can move it back over here. Now I know that the white background is gone because now I need to export it. So it does have a transparent background. I need to export it. So what I'm going to do is select it, go to File, Export, and Export As. And you're going to see right here this PNG. And, you know, I'm going to do ice cream. And I'm going to export it to my desktop. And what I'm going to do too is if this were a JPEG and I export it, it's going to export it with a white background again. And we don't want that. You want to be able to give a transparent background to anything in terms of a logo or something in that nature, because if you're sending it off to someone and created it, or if it's yours and you're using it, think about putting it on print and on print collateral that you're trying to send out. And if you had, let's say, a color page and then you put this ice cream with this white rectangle behind it, you know, I mean, it just kind of defeats the purpose. You just have this white triangle. It isn't your logo, or not triangle, but rectangle. And so make certain that it is transparent. So I'm going to hit export. And once again, stop, smell the roses, guys. Just don't hit OK. There's good info in here. There's good stuff to read. So look at that, 72 again. So let's get it at 300. And then you can see that it's transparent here. If by any chance it has white or black, make certain that it's transparent. And you can see these checkers in the back. That means it is. And I hit OK. And it's gone to my desktop. And then what I can do here is I'll open it up. And here it is. And I know that this is a transparent, even though doing this, we can see that it may not look like it is, but I know that it's transparent. I'm also seeing that I don't care for this color in here, but like I said, I didn't work my way down this ice cream cone, but this is a way that you can see like, maybe not. And you can get right back into it and make your adjustments accordingly. And that would have been right in here. And what I might do here is zoom in, and it was so close to the white background I didn't necessarily notice it. So what am I going to do? I'm going to grab my direct selection, which is A. I'm going to select that guy. I'm going to hit I, which is the eyedropper, and I'm going to turn it into that color. Now I'm going to hit in and come in with my pencil tool and maybe redraw this like that. Maybe not that one. Let's see. Let me come in like this and add more, or once again, curvature tool is awesome. So I'm going to hit that and just try to give it a little more shape as we come out. There we go. Now hit V, get out of there. Command or Control 0 to bring it back to this. And holding the Shift key, remember, I can make this larger so you can see it while you work on it. Okay, and when I click on this, over here it's 7 inches tall. So if this is going to be used in a logo, remember, make it the appropriate size. So if I were to put this on a business card or something, then get the size of the business card you want to do. If you want to do a standard business card, or if you want to do like a square business card that might be 3 inches by 3 inches, then obviously you're going to scale this down to the appropriate size of the business card that you need it on. So let's say I want this to be 2.5 inches. I would just do 2.5, hit return. And that would be the 2.5 in life if I had this. And then let's say I had an ice cream shop and this is my logo for some reason, that would be it. The next thing that you might want to do is talk about type a little. And you know how to use the type tool from Photoshop. And not much different than that, in that you hit T for the shortcut. And you notice, we'll go over here and it takes you to the type tool. But remember, we talked about anytime you see an arrow, click and hold, because that means there's other great stuff buried in there. And I'm going to just tear this off for you so you can kind of see different things that you could play around with type and text. So obviously I'm going to do this, and I'm just going to click once, and it's just like a Word document if you think about it. I'm going to turn this into 36, and I'm going to find a font so I don't have to use, I don't have to use this, so I can go through and find something else I like. Let's see, I'm not going to be picky. I'm just going to grab something Let's see. Yeah, I say I'm not going to be picky, right? Here we go. um, let's see. All these are just so type-like. Let me see. Trying to find something a little fancier. Oh, why don't we just do that? There we go. So I'm going to do this one. It's in regular. Maybe I want it in bold. And you can play around with that as well. Also, too, with this one, I might want to change sometimes you change the font, because when you change the font, it might get smaller on you. Here's 48. And also, too, please remember, just because they offer that, maybe I don't want it 48 and I don't want it 36, and those are my two options. Maybe I want it to be 39. Type it in, 39. Hit enter. There you go. So then, and then maybe I'll just do something like, you know, dreamy. And then, now here's the thing, to get back to your selection tool, what you do with type is, remember, you hit V, or what you do with it in the type tool is your instinct is to hit V, which would take us back to this. This is what happens when you hit V in the type tool. Guess what? You get a V. So we delete that. To get out of that, hit escape first, then what you can do is move it. And now when you hit escape, it takes you to V, and you could do something along these lines. And what I also can do is maybe over here, let me move this over a little. Come on, Dreamy. And then come in and hit my eyedropper tool while it was selected, and maybe I can change the font color just based out of my ice cream. So let me go back to maybe this one. There we go. So this is how you can use the type tool, but that's just straight up type, right? This one, actually, area type tool, will allow you to type inside of a shape or an area. And let's say I'm just going to draw something like this. And then what I'm going to do now is take this and touch on the path, and it'll put it into that shape. So if you wanted to do something like that, you certainly could. This one is type on a path. So I'm going to go back and maybe draw one. I can draw it with my pencil. And then also, too, don't forget, this is the pencil tool I was using. I can come back in and smooth some of this out if I wanted to before I put the type tool on it. Then I go here and start typing here, and then you can see what happens. So, and I can type it on the tool, and then if you want to go back and select, you can do that just by highlighting it. And maybe I want to change the font size to something, and I'm going to hit I, which is, oops, see, hit escape. Now I'm going to select it, and I'm going to hit I, and then select a color, maybe one of these pinks, and you can actually eyedrop out of that as well. And so hit V, get out of that one, and then same thing here with the vertical type tool. You can type vertically, and then on this one, if you hover, it'll tell you what things are. And so we've got vertical type on a path. So same thing, let's say I draw a path and hit this, click on it, and you can take it vertically down the path as well. And on this one, the touch type tool, so this is something that you can come in and kind of touch on these and play around with that as well. But we'll talk more about that in the next one when we're dealing with it. So dealing with text and font a little bit more, because I do want to go over that tool, and I want to go over here and talk about being able to space out your letters as well. You know, that might be something. So let's say if I do this and touch type tool, maybe I just want to work with that one. I can just come in and maybe I want to make just that part 72. And that's all that that does. It lets you just kind of go in. So I guess I am talking about it. It just lets you kind of go in and select that. I don't want to do that, but I want to go back to just type tool and select it and then highlight all of it, or like I said, escape, hit V, select it, and I can come over here and watch how these letters, these numbers allow you to space out those letters as well. So that's something to play around also. So these are a way, once you download your fonts that you want to use, that you're working on your logo and however you want to do them, you know, these are just a few of the tools that you could use to help with that. Okay, I hope this is helpful and will help you, like I said, working with the image trace tool and also working with your text and your type tool as well. Okay, bye.